Well, ready to dive into another YouTube rabbit hole? We're taking a look at your recommendations and trending pages from October 1st, 2024. Should be interesting.
Yeah, always fascinating to see what the algorithms cooked up. It's like a digital fingerprint, part personal, part reflection of the online world at a specific moment.
Absolutely. And speaking of the world at a specific moment, we can't ignore the huge news dominating your feed. It's hard to miss the coverage of that Iranian missile attack on Israel.
Yeah, talk about attention grabbing. It really highlights how instantly news, especially major global events like this, spreads online. And it's not just one source either.
Right, it's everywhere, from those big international outlets to smaller, more niche channels.
Exactly. You've got ABC7, the New York Post, then The Hill chiming in with their take. Even KGW News, that's local news out of Oregon, it seems. Everyone and their cousin has something to say about this.
And it's interesting you mentioned the local angle because alongside this huge international conflict, we also see a lot about Hurricane Helene, specifically all the flooding in Asheville, North Carolina.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder, what's the algorithm picking up on there?
It's that blend of global and hyper-local, right? The algorithm's trying to cater to your interests while also acknowledging the big news everyone's talking about. Maybe it's your location, maybe past viewing, but it's definitely connecting those dots.
Like it's saying, hey, this global event, yeah, it's hitting close to home too. And the ways these stories are being told are pretty different too. We go from these big geopolitical analyses, Iran versus Israel, to a channel like Burn Peak.
Oh yeah, Burn Peak. Intense stuff. Someone sharing their firsthand experience writing out the hurricane.
Exactly. Really puts things into perspective.
Mm.
And then you've got on the ground reporting too, the Tennessean raw, showing the devastation in Asheville.
And then zooming back out, there's WBFF FOX45 Baltimore reporting over 100 deaths across multiple states. Tragic.
It's incredible. Even just within the realm of news, YouTube's offering this whole range. You go from those hyper-local stories to the big picture, firsthand accounts to expert analysis, all in one place.
And that's what makes it so engaging, right? Multiple entry points to the same story, all depending on how deep you want to go.
It's not all doom and gloom, though. Beyond the big news stories, there's another theme emerging from your recommendations. Economic anxiety. It's subtle, woven throughout.
It's true, the algorithm picks up on those shared anxieties, those undercurrents of thought, like a cultural barometer in a way.
Right, and the titles we're seeing reflect that. People are done with corporate America. Stuff about men in China quitting the workforce en masse.
Ah.
Oh, and that one, why 10 million men have given up on work. Lots to think about.
It points to something bigger, don't you think? This shift in how we view work. Remote work is huge, automation's looming, and a whole generation's rethinking what a career even means.
Definitely. And these aren't small channels either. We're talking big YouTubers, economists, even news segments covering this stuff. It makes you wonder, is traditional work on the way out?
It's a valid question, and these videos, whether you realize it or not, are either echoing your existing anxieties about work or maybe even introducing new perspectives. Food for thought.
A digital mirror reflecting our collective anxieties back at us. And speaking of anxieties, but with a more, shall we say, futuristic spin, we can't forget about AI. Seems like it's infiltrating everything these days.
Unavoidable at this point. And it's funny, even in your recommendations, you see this push and pull, the excitement of AI, but also that underlying apprehension.
Oh, 100%. On the one hand, there's that lighthearted ChatGPT advanced voice silly mode video. Shows you how AI can be fun, creative.
Right, easy to get swept up in the novelty of it all, but then you scroll a bit further and bam, how jailbreakers try to free AI, right next to AI deception, how tech companies are fooling us makes you pause, right?
It's like this constant tug of war, the potential of AI versus the ethical dilemmas, especially when we talk about its impact on the future of work. Are we headed towards mass job displacement? Where do we draw the line between AI as a helpful tool versus a potential threat?
Those aren't easy questions to answer, that's for sure. And speaking of work-related anxieties, the creator economy is another big theme that keeps popping up in your recommendations.
And we're better to explore that than on YouTube itself, though it's not all sunshine and rainbows, is it? There's a definite sense of, I don't know, skepticism, disillusionment even with the whole creator lifestyle.
Right, it's not all sponsored posts and brand deals, is it? Your recommendations seem to be picking up on that, the real challenges of making a living online.
Yeah, you've got videos like creator courses, selling dreams as products. And then there's, why is everybody leaving YouTube? It's like this underlying question of, is this whole thing sustainable? ethically even.
Definitely a reality check for anyone romanticizing the creator life. It's not just about going viral. There's a grind to it. The algorithm's always changing. The pressure's on. It's tough.
And then to sum up the whole vibe, you've got LinkedIn is hell thrown into the mix.
Yeah.
I feel like that resonates with a lot of people trying to navigate the online world of work.
Totally. Because the online world, even with all its opportunities, it can also be this breeding ground for comparison, competition, burnout. And I think that's the thread that connects all these seemingly different videos, that underlying tension between the promise and the reality of the digital world.
Absolutely. It's like what happens when the dream job, the whole be your own boss thing, starts to feel like a dead end. When that freedom and flexibility everyone talks about becomes pressure and precarity, it's a lot.
Gives you a lot to think about, that's for sure. But, amidst all the heavy stuff, the global conflicts, the economic worries, your recommendations still have room for those niche interests. It's what makes these deep dives so interesting.
Right. It's not all doom and gloom.
Exactly. And case in point, that Godot game engine controversy that popped up.
Oh, yeah. That one kind of came out of left field.
Yeah.
Suddenly, we're knee-deep in game developer drama. What is it about this Godot engine thing anyway? People seem fired up about it.
It's like this little window into how even the most niche communities online can become, well, flashpoints for bigger cultural tensions even.
Right.
Yeah. Look at the video titles. Godot game engine self-destructs, Godot engine in a death spiral, and then Godot engine officially responded, it's not going well. Something's definitely up.
I'll say.
Hey.
I have to admit, I'd never even heard of this Godot thing before today.
Really?
Nope, totally new to me. But now I kind of want to know more. What are we thinking? Bad management, ideological clashes, what?
It's hard to say without really getting into the weeds of each video, but there are hints. Accusations of the Godot engine, get this, going woke.
Oh boy, that's all it takes.
Right. That's a recipe for online controversy if I've ever heard one.
Okay.
But it shows you, even our most niche interests, they often connect back to these larger cultural conversations happening online.
That's true. And you know what strikes me? It's how intensely passionate these online communities can be, especially when it comes to, like, the tools of their trade,
Yeah.
their creative outlets. Like, that digital world is just as important, sometimes more so, than the offline one.
For sure. And speaking of different worlds colliding, there's a bit of a China Watch theme sprinkled throughout your recommendations, too.
Oh, yeah. Good catch. Didn't even notice that one.
It's subtle, but it's there. You've got everything from those cultural observation videos, like that one, Never Eat at Chinese-run Japanese restaurants.
Yeah.
Very specific to stuff about trade wars, tariffs. One's even called China's Mad. The tariffs on made-in-China electric cars are working.
Wow. Quite the range.
Right. And then you throw in some social commentary, too. Like that video, 1,000-person matchmaking event, sees zero men, talks about China's leftover women, the whole anxiety around that. It's fascinating.
It really is. All these different facets of a culture just popping up in our recommendations. Wild.
It really highlights how interconnected our digital world is, right? How these algorithms piece together information, shaping our understanding of, well, everything. You could start your day thinking about game engines and somehow end up contemplating China's demographic challenges by lunchtime.
Only on YouTube. Okay, so let's recap. We've got international conflicts, economic anxieties, AI taking over the world, game developer drama, a little China Watch thrown in for good measure. Anything else we've missed?
One more layer, and it's an interesting one. Those videos sprinkled throughout, the ones from years ago, little time capsules almost.
Oh, you mean like, is success luck or hard work? The biggest myth in education, that the universe is hostile to computers. One.
Exactly. Those evergreen videos.
Why do you think they stick around?
I think it's because some questions, some ideas, they just resonate. They stick with you. The algorithm's picking up on that, your continued interest, even years later. Plus, it reminds us that YouTube isn't just about the latest trends. It's this huge archive of human experience, content that stays relevant no matter what.
I love that. Okay, so as we come up for air from this deep dive, what do we learn today?
Well, we started with Iranian missiles and Asheville floodwaters, right? And somehow ended up talking about everything from the future of work to the Godot game engine's community management style. Talk about a journey. But it just shows you our online experience. It's this blend of algorithms and our own curiosity. And it all shapes how we see the world, Maybe the biggest takeaway here is to just be aware of that influence. Be a little skeptical. Ask yourself, is this algorithm showing me what I want to see? Or is it trying to subtly shape what I'm interested in? That's the question, isn't it?
That's a really good question. Definitely something to think about. Well, on that note, thanks for joining us for another YouTube Deep Dive. Until next time.